twisted maze, leather, steel, and fire. The open roads are thrown by your life televised, we're breaking every bone. Eternal insurgents, brace on the fall. Hitting it with hardwire, hear the engine scream. Living fast and reckless, this is our metal dream. Riding hard, never slowing. In the spotlight we shine. A biker's brutal journey. This life is ours divine. With hardwire, the crowd screams our name, chasing down the shadows, we're addicted to the fame. Chains rattling loud, the brotherhood's alive. Every episode turns up, we're here to survive. From dusk till dawn, we're the kingdom is through. Hitting it with hardwire, hear the engine scream. Living fast and reckless, this is our metal dream. Riding hard, never slowing. In the spotlight we shine. A biker's brutal journey. This life is ours divine. On the edge of chaos, we embrace the feel. Hitting it with hardwire, we'll always be here.
Hey, welcome to Hittin' It with Hardwire. I am him, the Hardwire. Oh, what's happening? I see we got Sick Bastard in here, and Carney, and Gary, and my old lady. How's everybody doing? Frank's in here. Hopefully we don't have any more technical difficulties today. Last week was the Charlie Kirk vigil. It was pretty decent, nice. Found out afterwards it was the church that put it on was a Pentecostal church, which explained a lot. There was a guy out there, holding his hands up like this and going. So I thought the guy was just a weirdo, but it turns out, that's just a Pentecostal thing. That's what they believe. Somehow the angels speak through them. So, to each their own. I find it quite strange. But I'm wearing check out my shirt. Can you see it? I got this from the Officer Tatum store. The bottom. I don't want to show you my fat belly, so I'll stand up a little bit. Says, we are Charlie. What the hell does that say? Get married, have kids, and glorify Christ. I hope you heard me. That's I bought, like I said, I bought from the Officer Tatum store, and all the proceeds from all the shirts go to the Kirk family. So if you go there and you see a shirt you like, one of the Charlie shirts that he has, all the proceeds go to the family. He said he's having trouble keeping up with all the orders because he's got. What's up, Steve? He's got within the first few days, he had 19,000 some orders, and he says he's not 100% sure exactly what the numbers are yet, but he's pretty sure. When he sees Erica, that he's going to be able to give her a check for $500,000 out of what he's made from the shirts so far, which is fantastic. I'm glad to hear it. He said that it's going to be up to her what she wants to do with it. If she wants to put it in an account for the kids' college fund, or if she wants to give it to Turning Point, or what she wants to do with it, it's her choice. But that's what he wants to do. He said his goal was $1 million, but That was a lofty goal, he said. It was, but I contacted a fellow on Facebook who wants to have. He said he was going to have another have a vigil for Charlie Kirk on October 14th, which is the official day of remembrance for Charlie Kirk, which was his birthday. And I asked this poor kid, I says, do you have speakers, people to speak there, somebody to say a prayer? He said, I didn't, I just posted it on there. Me and my wife, uh, didn't know if anybody would have any interest in coming or anything. And now there's like 365 people that said they're coming and like a couple thousand that are listed as interested. I doubt that many people show up, but this poor kid is like underwater. I said, I've planned poker runs and stuff. There's a few charity events. I said, I'd be happy to help you out as much as I can. I've contacted a few local churches to try to see if I can get some help for him. I have an old PA system. It's not the biggest, but it's like the speakers are like, I don't know what that is, about 3 feet tall, and each one's got two 12s in it. I think that'll be plenty for what he's doing. I mean, it's not an arena or anything. We're going to be down same place. If you watched it all last week at the courthouse, I am going to bring a separate, like a spotlight that we could put out front, because if you noticed, I don't know if you could tell from the video last week, but there's a light right above their head, and it made everybody look dark because they had no front facing light. So I'm going to bring like a spotlight. I may practice, get the karaoke system out and practice my personal favorite song. That was like an old hymn. I might start practicing that and offer to sing it. If you know the old Rugged Cross, that's always been one of my favorite songs. So I may practice it and do it karaoke style. May offer to do it if you don't have enough. He said something about getting a Christian band, and I'm like, I think you're going a little too far on that one. You don't need a band. If it's a candlelight vigil, you need a couple of people to speak, maybe sing a few songs, but you're not going to keep people that long. You don't. It's a fact that you can only keep people's attention span all at one time and something like that for about an hour, and then people are going to start walking away. So I think a band's a little too much. I told him also to be careful how much he does. He may end up needing a permit. He said they told him as long as it's peaceful and stuff that he should be fine. But if he gets too carried away, starts trying to sell things, have a band, things of that nature, then that could cross into needing a permit territory. He says he doesn't think it will, but he said he's never organized anything before. So hopefully, he said he did want to use my PA system. I said, I'll have to dig it out of my basement. It's over there in the other room, and I haven't used it in years. Last time I used it was at a clubhouse for a bunch of people to sing karaoke. I plugged a laptop into it's like a head, kind of like a guitar head, sort of, but it's just a big one. You plug a piece and you plug the speakers into it, and it's got a bunch of inputs on the front. Should be plenty for I think for what he needs. The one last week, they only had two small, like 12-inch speakers, and it sounded okay. Well, I think they could have had a little more, but it did the job. S&S, what's happening, my man? Gunpowder, Nitro, what's happening? How's everybody's week going? Mine's been an interesting week. I don't want to say too awful much. Uh, I talked to Mike about it a little bit. I already had grumbles and complaints about my time, wanting to do the show more, wanting to get more involved in politics because I talked to the Republican Party a couple weekends ago about running for office. They looked at me like I was crazy. He's like, "Really?" I was like, "No, I'm serious, man. I am dead serious." I said, "I think I am exactly what the Republican Party would need. You know why? Because the Republican Party has courted the vote of the working people, and they are tired, quite frankly, tired of suits. We don't trust people that are like Mr. Super, like Sooty and like Snooty and see how many rhymes words I can find are snooty, fruity. We don't want they don't want that. And I said, I think I would be perfect because I am a normal, regular, working class Joe, Jason in this particular instance, but I'm a regular working class fella, and I think I would be good for it. I'm not afraid of cameras. I'm not. I'm a little weird about public speaking, like in front of big crowds, but I could do it. It's not too far removed from like being on camera. Uh, I will say I may have to remove the 1% from my name. From my name, I believe I may be giving it up, mostly just because of time constraints. Uh, my personal direction has been more about this and camping, spending time with the family. I don't want to be the kind to make excuses, but I was always the first one to say if you're not going to be a good brother, if you can't afford it financially or you can't afford the time, then you shouldn't be a drain on the whole system and should consider not doing so. They're trying to talk me out of it, and there was tears shed when I told them I wasn't going to do it anymore. It's emotional when you work hard for something and you make a lot of family, people you feel like are family. It gets very emotional. I don't. I've been around clubs enough to know with a lot of clubs, uh, you're a brother, and they'll tell you they love you, but that only applies for as long as you wear the same cut as they do, and I know that. If you're not aware of that and you don't know that when you get into it, it can seem kind of like a betrayal, but I don't really think of it that way because I already knew that. I knew that going in. Uh, but our local chapter is a lot of us have grown up together, and we're close. Uh, but they've been doing a lot more and more of the you have to go here and you have to go there, and I'm like, winter's coming, man. I gotta winterize my camper. I still want to try to get at least one more, at least one more chance to go camping before winter gets here. Uh, I got both vehicles. I need to put stereos in. I still have my Dyna needs painted. There's a ton of things I need to do, but I can never get time to do it. And I hope people, that like to watch my channel and whatnot, don't lose any respect for me. But I have nothing whatsoever bad to say about the club that I was in. So that's not a thing. It's the same as most other clubs that I've been around. There are good people, bad people. There's a mixture of all the kinds of people involved in clubs. That's just any big club. That's the way it's going to be. Bigger, even bigger clubs, and sometimes even in sort of small clubs, you're going to have some of the people you consider super solid, and then some that aren't, and you're some that are probably a little too more towards wanting it to be a gang. And you're going to have some people that are, you get all kinds, and that's the way the world is. The world's that it takes all kinds to make a world. I'm a firm believer that we should all just try to get along. Same thing in the world. I don't like lefties. I get quite angry at some of the things they say. But I'm also I talk to Gemini once in a while, and I get into arguments with Gemini, and I said I'm a bit of what's called a free speech absolutist, where I believe people should be able to say anything and everything they want until they cross the line to actually trying to make it so. Like, don't clip this out into a piece and say that I said any of the, like, this was my opinion. But if there are Nazis out there, like they accused Republican Party of being, they have the right to be there. And as long as they're in the United States, they have the right to be there in their small little groups, if so be it, skinheads, whatever. As long as they stay in their little groups, whatever, they could say whatever they want until they start doing something dangerous. They start amassing large amounts of firearms and start talking about shooting somebody, then yeah, that's a fucking problem. Okay, but people, anybody has a right to say whatever they want. There's racist people out there, for example, and I'm not racist, but you're never going to get rid of it entirely. And you can't just tell people you're not allowed to say anything racist. There will always be racist people out there, and as long as they're only flapping their gums, it's their right to flap their gums. You know what I mean? That's part of freedom of speech, and that's part of being. What's up, Beezer? That's part of being in a free country, man. If you want it to be free, it's got to be free. I know freedom in America is a bit of a loaded word. There are other countries that don't claim to be free that actually are more free than we are, but at least we have protections in place. We have the Constitution in place, that protects our freedom of speech. But as far as the club part goes, they gave me some time to mull it over before it's official that I had left. Uh, so I'm in a kind of intern space for a couple of weeks. And it's not, I can't say I agree with everything that's going on in the club, but are you ever going to? I mean, there are people there in leadership positions that I believe are taking the club in a direction that I don't like. Is that my reasoning for wanting to go? Not really. Yeah, it's one of many. So many things will build up. It's kind of the straw that broke the camel's back kind of thing. But more than anything, it was mainly the time thing. Whenever they start making you go places, most 1% clubs I've ever been around, you have one national a year you got to go to, and like 3 regionals or something. They usually have a set thing that you have this many you got to go to, and then you can pick which ones you want to go to. And they've started this thing where almost every weekend's getting mandatory. They've backed off a little bit on it. For a while, it was every single weekend was mandatory. But also now they're, you know, that's getting to the point where they're fining people and, uh, I don't know. I can't really say much more than that. I don't want to go into saying too much. Hey, what's up, Spiders? I assume Spiders your nicknames since Spiders Club Life. Thank you for stopping in, man. This is my show. We just kind of bullshit, and I give my opinions on a lot of things. I like to think I'm basically the average American. What the average American, at least from my generation, our opinions are. Uh, there's so many things to love. Like I was talking about a little bit about the club life. I don't usually do, but uh, there's so many things to like about it, and there's always the risk of bad things happening. That's always something that there's a risk of. But I was always one of the first ones that said, if you got to work too much, if you don't have the money, like I considered myself a good brother. I went to places all the time. I was never behind in my dues. I was paid up all the time. I never took out any club loans. I never did any of that stuff. I was always on time, always paid up, never in trouble with the club. Uh, so I considered myself a good brother, but that shit will fucking wear on you hard, unless you have nothing else in your life going on. I have a lot of hobbies and other things that I try to do, and I've got no time. I just got things building up and building up and building up, and I can't get to any of the other things I need to do. And I get people, even my daughter asked me, "Hey, Dad, this Saturday, why don't we?" Uh, they all wanted to go to a movie. I think it was a drive-in. They was showing the Goonies or something, some old movie that she wanted to go see. But it was on a Saturday, and anytime anybody asked me, can you do this or that? Can we go hang out on a Saturday? I gotta say, I have to keep my Saturdays open because believe it or not, it wouldn't be quite as bad if everything was planned out real well, but nothing's ever planned out real well. It's usually last minute shit. Like, hey, I know it's last minute. Uh, I know it's Friday, but you're going somewhere tomorrow. I hate that shit. I hate when you can't plan anything. I'm a. I don't want to say I'm the biggest planner, but if it comes to anything major, I like to plan it. If it's going to take my day, I like to plan things out, especially if you got family. My older brother's been asking me for quite a long time to go fishing. He wants to get together and just hang out and go fishing. He says, "Dude, we're not getting any younger. We should hang out more." I agree, but then I can't because I got all this other stuff going on. And whenever I joined, it wasn't like that. It was basically more like I originally said. Most of the 1% clubs I've ever been around, they usually pretty much give you what they tell you what you need to the requirement you're going to need to meet. Like, we'll need you to go to 3 regional events and a national, or they will tell you what you need, and then you could figure it out. That's kind of how it started, but then since there's new leadership, they've kind of like took everything in a big tumbler and shook it up. and they claim to be going back to more of the older ways. Uh, I wasn't around in the older ways. I wasn't necessarily what I signed up to do. I told them in advance, hey, I'm not young. I've got back problems. It's always kept me from becoming to stepping up to be a 1%er. I've got back problems. There are some days my back's so fucked up I can't ride. And it's like, I'm sure some of you understand, like with head injuries, post-traumatic stress disorder, even back injuries, the kind of injuries that a person can't see, it's like they don't believe you. And it bugs me. 'Cause, dude, I got prescriptions. I get, you know how hard it is nowadays to get something like Vicodin, or I get Vicodin, gabapentin, and Robaxin that I take every single day, and you know how hard you can't. Ever since the big opioid crackdown, that shit's hard to get a hold of unless you really need it. So that alone should tell you that I have a fucking serious issue, you know. But it's like they don't want to believe you, and I don't like that. I can't go to the doctor and ask the doctor, hey, will you write me an excuse? Because if you do that and you get in some kind of the doctor writes something saying that you really shouldn't be riding, or you should only be riding like a limited amount of time, whatever. If a doctor writes you that and the insurance company gets a hold of it and you get in an accident, you are fucked. You are royally fucked. What's up, America Uncensored? Thanks for stopping in. I appreciate it. I try to stop in on the morning coffee with the crazies, is what I call it. With Moto Bomb and Sick Bastard and Carney. They have a good show. It's much like similar to my show where they just kind of bullshit. Those are the best shows to me. I like Mike's show. I really do.
Shit.
I like Mike's show. But there is a point in time when you just gotta turn the politics off, or it will fucking drive you absolutely crazy, and you'll start getting depressed. I've already found out because I've gotten more and more involved politically. But the news, if you follow it all the time, it'll drive you nuts. You got to tune out sometimes. You just got to tune out for a little while. Like, take a break from the news. That's one of the camping, why I like going camping sometimes. Get out in the country. I still do. I'm still guilty of getting on scrolling through my phone, sitting out there, but just, sit in a chair, relax next to a fire, and know that nobody's going to bug you unless you want, unless you go talk to somebody. It's I'd also like to get go to more of them like big weekend long music festivals, but they've gotten so fucking expensive. Like when I first bought the camper, that was my idea. I was like, hey, I'm gonna start going to some of these big music festivals, because when I used to go to them all the time, I was always one of them fucking guys that was either stuck in a tent. Believe it or not, there was this event in Southern Ohio called Jamboree in the Hills, and I remember going with a friend of mine. Oh, I was a lot younger then, and you was only allowed so many people at a campsite. So they're like, I don't know where you want to, but you have to figure out some place to sleep. So you wasn't allowed sleeping in your car, so I slept in the trunk. I slept in the trunk of the fucking car because the back had you could fold the seats down, and it had a little pulley lever where you could put the seats down. So I would get in the back seat, roll my ass into the trunk. I was always at the time I was so fucking drunk it wouldn't have mattered to me if I slept under the car. I wouldn't have gave a shit. But I slept in the trunk of the car. But I always admired all these people who had these neat campers and stuff, and I always said, "Well, someday I'll have one." And now that I have one, I can't afford to go to no damn festivals because they're too fucking expensive. They're ridiculous. Oh, let's see. Yeah. I've become tried to become a little bit more uh paying attention politically because I want to run for political office. I want to try to make a difference because frankly, I'm not one of them kind of people who wants who or needs millions of dollars in my bank account. I could give a fuck less. I don't need a lot to be happy. All I want is a normal, like little house, a garage where I can work on some things. Uh, I like my have a couple of bikes and a pickup truck. I don't need a mansion. I don't need 10 cars. I don't need any of these rich people things. I watched somebody I forget what show it was. Me and the old lady was talking about it. Well, one of them rich guys always got in the back of the car and had somebody drive him around. I could never do that. Never do that. I don't know how people can do that. That to me, that's foreign. I could never do that. I could never have somebody drive me around unless I was drunk. And the only time I've ever been driven around is like when I called a taxi late at night, and they're stupid expensive. I live in a small town, and to go from one end of the small town where the bar was at to go to the other end of this little town, well, right now it's not going to sound like a lot, but it was $50. But that was back in the early 2000s, and that was a lot. $50 was a lot of money then. $50 is still a good bit of money, but your bike down, Carney. You got a nice newer bike, don't you? Beezer, you can post a link. I don't know if it'll show up. I'm on StreamYard, not on YouTube, so I don't think I can't wrench people from StreamYard. It took me quite a long time to even figure out how to do that. I learn new things every day, and I'm really hoping, for example, Jesse Ventura, the famous wrestler, who I used to watch his videos once in a while, but he's gotten pretty far out there. I can't even watch his stuff anymore. He's a little too far out there for me. But at any rate, very few people realize what he was governor for a while, or I think was it governor? Something like that. He was a major politician for the state that he lives in, and he used to be a Mongol. He's an ex-Mongol. So I'm hoping that my former club involved, I'm hoping it won't affect me politically if I should try to run. They might try to bring it up, but I have no issue with explaining to them. People people get the wrong idea, man. It's not Sons of Anarchy, and you get small chapters here and there that pop up that do some pretty out there shit, you know. And but that's not the majority of people. That's not the majority of the people, and that's for the most part not the way the club does things as a whole. I'm not privy to the highest echelon of the things that go on the highest levels. There might be some covert little here's and there's of things going on that I don't know about. But for the most part, there's nothing like that. It's not some big uh, criminal enterprise like they try to say. It's all horseshit. All because back in the well, one because of Sons of Anarchy, and two because back in the day when close clubs were a little tighter knit, uh, and the only way they communicated was landline here and there, and most of the time it was going back and forth. They all did it all the time, and you could get away with a lot more back then. And they used to do some things like that. That's what Sons of Anarchy was based off of, like Sonny Barger. What Sonny Barger said about the Angels of like the '60s and '70s, man. You know, it's not. It was modernized and dramatized. Keep in mind, and dramatized, and most movies are too, are dramatizations of reality to keep you involved and keep you watching to make it more interesting for you to consume, to bring you out to watch it. It's not reality. Uh, and I often tell people that believe, and this is no bullshitting. I wrote a long, uh, really long Facebook message to now I'm drawing draw blank. The dude who wrote Sons of Anarchy. Uh, he played the one. I think it was Otto in the series. Kurt Sutter. Thank you, Jason. I wrote a long paragraph to Kurt Sutter and got blocked because I was bitching at him about, hey, this would never happen and that would never happen, and and it pisses me off because it was actually kind of interesting for the first few seasons, and then when as soon as you realized that you was going to end the show, you started making all your characters like they set up the first several seasons based on show like with character building, saying that they had these more inner morals and things they would never do. And I said, as soon as you realized you were going to end the show, it just took a huge left turn, and all of a sudden, all the characters were doing all these things they would never do, and they said they would never do. In the whole first seasons, they never did. And I said, you just fucking took your show and you fucking destroyed it. It was kind of interesting. I mean, it was bullshit, but it was interesting nonetheless. It was. It was basically like a soap opera. It was a major dramatization. You know, I kind of looked at it as it was about, to me it was about as believable as watching what do they call it? Uh Fucking damn it, I hate that. Getting old, I'm drawing a blank. Like Loki and Thor and Iron Man. Like, that shit ain't real, but it's still cool to watch it and kind of imagine what it'd be like if it were real. You know, a world of superheroes and whatnot. There, if things that weren't reality weren't interesting, people wouldn't go see shit, anything, because that's all movies and all TV shows, basically. It's not reality. It's like growing up watching porn. That's a good example, too. Ain't none of that like reality either. Corn or whatever. I don't know how you're supposed to say it on YouTube. I'm not monetized anyway. I don't make no money off this shit. I just get on here for fun. I have this show just because I enjoy bullshitting with my friends on here. I don't make a nickel off of it. And even whenever I post anything, I usually I post to send money to Mike. That's Mike's Cash App. He's the one who got me started in all this. It wasn't his idea. He didn't ask me, "Hey, why don't you start a show?" I didn't even know YouTube Live was a thing for a long time. Well, he said it was fairly new. I started watching some of them. I'm not even sure how I stumbled on Mike's channel. And one day I just decided I was going to go down, and I said, "Hey, Mike, it was the 4th of July weekend 2 years ago now." I said, and he had literally just moved to Alabama. And I said, "Hey, I've never been to Alabama, and it's the 4th of July weekend. I got a day off work. I don't have to take a vacation day or nothing. Guess what? I'm gonna come down and visit you if you don't care." And I drove down there to visit. And I did. If you look up my interview with Mike, that was when me and Mike first met. It was an interesting interview. It's hard to have an interview when you have to really be careful what you say, because then you're rolling around every answer. You're being like trying to run it through a filter, and I am not a very good filter person. I just tend to blab things out. But I guarantee you this, though. I can at least guarantee you this. If I tell you something and I say I know it to be so, you can count on it being so. And because I will typically say, I think something, or I believe it might be. I choose my words carefully. But if I say I know something to be so, you can count on it. And if I say I'm going to do something, you could fucking count on it. My word means everything to me, so I am very careful how I say things. And my show is very bipolar, because I'll start yip yapping about something. I'll forget what I started talking about. I'll go on about 50 different tangents. It's like that every fucking show. But in a world where things have gone to shit, if your word means nothing, what good of a person are you? Your word fucking should mean something to you. If if you can't look somebody, I'm looking at the monitor. If you can't look somebody right straight in their eyeballs and tell somebody something and fucking count on what they say, then I for one ain't got no use for you. And you should be able to count on what somebody says. There's too many shysters in this fucking world. People who flap their gums and their words mean nothing. And it's horrible. You should 100% be able to count on what somebody says. And if you meet people where their word is important to them, and you can count on what they say, that they're going to do what they say. And if they tell you, "Hey, even for example, hey, can I borrow $10? I will give it back to you as soon as I get paid." And then come payday, they hand you the $10 back without you even having to fucking ask for it. Those are the kind of people that you want to be fucking friends with. Those are the kind of people that you want to keep close to you. And I've known very, very few over the years. I've known a lot of people. I've known very few that I would allow into my inner circle of, really close people. Because those are the kind of, if you meet people that you could fucking count on, those are the kind of people. And oddly enough, most of them weren't from clubs that I met that were that way. The club world is a really odd fucking world, where you got to kind of keep everybody at an arm's length. You got to be real fucking careful. Just because you call them brother doesn't mean they're a good person. It doesn't mean you can trust them. All right, guys, I'm getting hungry. I'm gonna go eat supper. I hope you like the 6 o'clock time slot better. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna make it permanent. I really appreciate everybody that comes in. I appreciate everybody that watches the show. I do love each and every one of you. And if you aren't a believer in the Lord, I'm not the person to preach to you. But I would encourage you to go to the right place. Don't go to the wrong. Don't go. Personally, I struggle with believing in Catholics and Pentecostals. I would stay away from those. And some Baptist churches are crazy. A lot of them are real good, but there are some fringe Baptist churches out there that are pretty nutty. That's why I didn't go to church for the longest time. When you find one, go and dress in a t-shirt and see how people look at you. That's one of the best things to do. Go dressed kind of raggedy, walk in there and see if they greet you and they're happy to see you and they don't care what you look like. That's one of the best ways to at least start to figure out the church. At one point in time, I thought I wanted to start a biker church. Not a biker church, a Christian bike club, because I wanted people to understand that you could be like me, be an average Joe, that because if a preacher is not telling you that we are all sinners, and we all fall short, then he's not preaching to you right. You don't have to be a suit. You don't have to be one of them hoity-toity motherfuckers that I can't stand to be saved. Jesus specifically didn't want it to be that way. I'm not the best person to preach to you, but if you haven't found God, I encourage you to do so. At one point in time, I wanted to have a motorcycle ministry just to try to reach out there and make people understand that, you could still be a biker. You could, I remember whenever I was a little younger in my 20s, if you smoked, dude, they was looking down on you like you was a piece of shit. And that's just not, you can come from all aspects of life. All you really got to do is do your best. You have to believe in Jesus and do your best. And when you know you fucked up, you apologize. You keep your relationship with God, and you talk to him once in a while and tell him you love him and appreciate him. That's about all you really got to do. But I do love you, all of you. I appreciate you stopping in. God bless you. And I really hope you all have a good week. I will see you next week at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday. Until then, I hope you all have a great week, and God bless.
Hittin' it with Hardwire, we're burning it bright, living on the edge, we'll ride through the night, no fear in our hearts, just the roar of the steel, together we rise, now this life feels real. twisted black line, a YouTube dream where his past can't confine. With every rev he's reclaiming his soul, teaching the world how to ride, how to